Hello and welcome to another Tempo Storm Standard Deck Spotlight video. Saviors of Uldum has been out for a while and the meta is starting to take shape. In today's episode, we'll be looking at an archetype that most are familiar with, Tempo Rogue. Back during the release of Rise of Shadows, Tempo Rogue was one of the best decks, and even with the nerfs that occurred, it continued to be one of the top contenders in the meta. This archetype utilizes early aggressive minions along with weapons to punish greedier decks, and it has generally been a good answer to popular lists such as Conjurer's Mage. With the new expansion, Highlander Mage has been running rampant at the moment, and Tempo Rogue has been one of the decks keeping it in check. Multiple players have been reaching high legend with this list, such as Boar Control, Pizza, and Elfandor, who all hit top 5 legend. Not only is it strong, the deck is a fairly good budget option if you already have the cards from the previous meta and only runs a few new cards from Saviors of Uldum. All in all, it's definitely a great list if you're looking to climb. Before we start, make sure to subscribe to keep up with all of our Hearthstone-related content. Now, let's begin. With the Saviors of Uldum release, quests were a big focus, and players were experimenting and looking at how to make a viable rogue quest list with Bizarre Burglary. Unfortunately, the way the meta's been developing, there's been a need for faster, more aggressive versions of Rogue, which brought players to focus on Tempo Rogue again. Although the core list has remained the same, there are a few cards from the new expansion that have found their place in the deck, such as Pharaoh Cat, Hooked Scimitar, and Zephyrus the Great. Pharaoh Cat is a solid one-drop that gives you a Reborn card, which is similar to the old popular Tempo Rogue card, Swashbuckler. It's a great early card, which not only serves as a cheap combo activator, but it can potentially generate a ton of value depending on what you receive from its battle cry. Hooked Scimitar is another good weapon in addition to running Wagglepick, as there are essentially no decks at the moment running weapon removal, giving rogues leeway to swing face without worry, which can add up to a ton of damage. Its combo is actually quite easy to activate, especially when on the coin, and it can allow for big tempo plays by getting out free Dread Corsairs early. At first glance, Zephyrus the Great may seem out of place in the deck due to mostly being in Highlander lists, but players have been including it in this rogue deck because at its worst, it's a plain 3/2 body which can always be played on curve for tempo. But it shines and finds its true value post Mira's Unstable Element, enabling you to find extra damage for lethal. It also has amazing synergy with Wagglepick, which can return it to your hand, costing 0 mana to help find extra answers if needed. If you don't have Zephyrus, you can replace it with a second copy of Fairy Dragon or add in a Hench-clad Thug, but Zephyrus is definitely worth including if you have it. These new additions to the deck, although not many, have aided in keeping Tempo Rogue as a strong archetype in the current meta. As mentioned previously, not much has changed with the overall core of the deck, and the mulligans are still generally the same. Early game cards that you'll be looking for when going first are South Sea Deckhand, as most classes can't deal with it early unless they decide to coin hero power such as mages and druids, along with Pharaoh Cat, Fairy Dragon, or Hench-clan Thug, Evil Miscreant, and Backstab. Going second is always ideal due to having coin and being able to activate your combos more easily. If you're going second, look to keep Pharaoh Cat, Evil Miscreant, SI7 Agent, and Hooked Scimitar. You can keep a Dread Corsair or two as well if you have the weapon, allowing you for an incredible tempo swing on turn 2. Edwin Van Cleef can also be a good option if you have no other good cards, and you can tempo him out as a 4/4 or 6/6 if you have Backstab. In the mid-game, you're looking to start pressuring with Wagglepick and upgrading when possible with Captain Greenskin to push for more face damage. It's important to keep in mind that current iterations of aggro rogue are not running Shadow Step, so you'll have to use Wagglepick to bounce important targets. Depending on the matchup, the importance of bouncing certain cards will differ, but the most common cards are Evil Miscreant, Life Drinker, SI7 Agent, and Leroy Jenkins. Zephyrus is also a great target as mentioned previously once you've used Mira's Unstable Element. As for your saps, save them for crucial turns when you're pushing for lethal, such as dealing with pesky taunts like Bone Wraith or Kartut Defender. But don't be afraid to use them early either if it can allow you to set up on board and gain board control. Rogue currently has great matchups across the board and does well against popular lists like Mage, Priest, and Hunter, only noticeably struggling to control Warrior, which is no surprise, Murloc Shaman, and Murloc Paladin if they get an early tip the scales. Zoo can also be tricky depending on how well they curve out, but shouldn't be too tough overall as Rogue still has good early game answers such as Backstab and SI7 Agent. Tempo Rogue is definitely in a prime position in the meta at the moment. Although it found itself in Tier 3 in the first Saviors of Uldum meta snapshot, it'll certainly be rated higher with the newly refined list. If you're looking for a deck to climb ladder with currently and you're not facing too many control warriors, it's a great option. We're curious to see if other Quest Rogue archetypes can end up finding a place in the meta as well, but as it stands, it seems that Tempo Rogue is stealing the spotlight for the class for the time being. Is there a deck you'd like to see us cover in our next Deck Spotlight video? Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, don't forget to like and remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our Hearthstone content. Until next time.